What's up, YouTube? This is Team More Milk here. I'm Treves, and we got X-Saberman 9K over there. And today we're going to be talking about the damage step. Take it away.
Alright, so to start things off, when you end your main phase 1, you go into your battle phase, right? Okay. Now, in your battle phase, you can actually declare your battle phase even if you don't have a monster to attack with. And this is because you have cards such as Call of the Haunted here, just things like that, Call of the Haunted, and I can't even think of any other examples off the top of my head right now. But Call of the Haunted, great example. You can play it during the battle phase and just get a monster. So you can actually go into your battle phase while you don't have a monster. Another example is Emergency Teleport. Okay, so now when you first attack, attacking doesn't actually start a chain. You respond to the attack. So the card you respond to the attack first is actually chain link 1. Okay, so cards like these are cards like Compulsory, Waboku, Mirror Force, Deep Prison. Okay, now when you attack, if they attack you and you go Deep Prison, and then they go Lance, you can still chain Mirror Force because you're still technically responding to the attack. You don't have to chain directly to you're still chaining it to Forbidden Chalice, but you're still responding to the attack. This is why things work like when they attack with Light and Darkness Dragon, they go Deep Prison, and then Lad negates it, and then they go Mirror Force to Lad, because Lad can only negate 2 times, or 1 time in a chain. He can't negate 2 times in a chain. Okay, so that's just a quick thing. Now, a thing on Threatening Roar. Because Threatening Roar says your opponent cannot declare attacks this turn, you technically have to activate it as soon as they announce they're going into their battle phase. Because if your opponent announces they're going into their battle phase and you say okay, then they go attack with Thunderkin, and you go respond with Threatening Roar. You actually can't do that. Like, you can do that, but technically that attack would actually still go through, so it would just negate the rest of the attacks for that turn. So that if someone does that to you, you say, well, I gave you.
You say, Judge.
Yeah, you say, Judge. I gave you a chance to respond to my battle phase, and you didn't. So that's another thing. Now we're going to talk about, so the attack actually went through. So this is the battle step. The attack was declared. The turn player has priority, so they can actually attack, and they can retain their priority and say Chainlink 1 Compulse or Chainlink 1 Waboku. Okay. This is before the damage step still. This is battle step. All spell speed 2 cards can be activated. Okay? So now we're getting it onto the damage step. The damage step doesn't really have sub-steps, but you can break things down into, like, Konami hasn't officially made rulings about sub-steps, but you can break things down into sub-steps to make it kind of easier. So I'm going to say I won't say sub-steps, but I'll say like start of the damage step. Okay? So what happens, start of the damage step, you say the attack's good, so you go start of the damage step. So all continuous effects would apply, such as Jinzo, field cards, they would just apply right there. You would apply them to any monsters that, like, for example, Seal of Orichalcos. And then after that, like, trigger effects would activate, such as Granville, because Granville says at the start of the damage step. You can read it there, at the start of the damage step. Catastor, those kind of things would activate. And you can also activate cards that directly change attack. So you're at a point here where spell speed 2 cards can be activated, but only spell speed 2 cards that directly change attack. So like Lance has an effect that raises or loses the attack by 800, so you can activate this during the damage step. Now you cannot activate cards like Compulsory or Waboku because they do not directly alter the attack of the monster. You cannot activate Book of Moon, you cannot activate Enemy Controller or MST. They do not directly alter the attack. You can, however, during any part of the damage step, activate any continuous trap card. And this combo doesn't work either. You cannot use, like, this still in a way alters Beast King Barbaros's attack, but since it doesn't directly, it's like an indirect way of altering his attack. You still cannot chain skill drain during the damage step, even if you attack with Barbaros at 1900. You cannot do that. like I said, it doesn't directly alter Beastkin Barbarossa's attack. So that's like the start of the damage step. Now right after that, right after the start, you apply all those effects. Then if the monster being attacked is actually set, it is flipped face up. Any flip effects or anything like that, such as Snowman Eater, Fossil Dyna, and Gravekeeper's Guard, activate, but they do not resolve at this time. It's like the effect has been triggered, but they don't resolve. The condition has been met for them to activate, but they can't resolve yet because they have to wait for the attack to actually go through. Okay? And you can still play cards that directly change attack, like Lance and Shrink and Horn of the Phantom Beast, okay? Now, I'm going to say right before damage calculation, I guess you can still play cards that directly change attack, except cards like Drillroid or Aren will activate because those cards say before damage calculation. They don't say at the start of the damage step, so they actually activate just before damage calculation. Aren puts a defense position monster to the top of the deck. And now we're going on to damage calculation, okay? So damage calculation. Cards that specifically state during the damage step or damage calculation. So at this time, you can no longer activate these cards because you're already in damage calculation. You can no longer activate Lance or Limiter removal, but you can activate cards such as Honest because it states during the damage step or during damage calculation. You can activate Honest during this step. So, and this is the point where at any point in the damage step, you can have multiple chains, but during damage calculation, you cannot have a multiple chain. So, like, this wouldn't work. If you attack with JD, you attack their JD with JD, and you drop Honest, they go, okay, that's fine. They let Honest resolve. You cannot be like, okay, now I drop my Honest. It has to be all in one chain. If you don't respond to the first effect, you don't respond at all. And Light and Darkness Dragon can still activate in this step, as it has to activate. It doesn't say you can activate this effect. This effect automatically activates, so if they drop Honest, that automatically just negates it. Now, this is now the next step is like the battle damage has been taken. So cards like Scrap Goblin would activate, Spirit Reaper, X-Saber Airbellum. So right now the monster is considered destroyed by battle, but it is not sent to the graveyard yet. So other cards that would activate are Gores and Treg because they've taken the damage, and Spirit Reaper. Now lots of people have questions about Reaper and Gores or Reaper and Treg. Now, lots of people think if you attack with Spirit Reaper's effect activates and resolves before they can play Gores. That is false, okay? When you are attacking with Spirit Reaper, this card, it doesn't say you can activate the effect. It's a mandatory effect to discard a card from your opponent's hand, so it automatically goes Chain Link 1. Then they have the chance, if they wish to respond with Tragodia or Gores as Chain Link 2. So, which would mean the chain would resolve backwards, they would special summon Gores or Treg, and then Spirit Reaper's effect would activate. Okay? So lots of people have misconceptions about that. So after that, like I said, the monster is considered destroyed by battle, but it is not sent to the graveyard at this time. So stuff like Sangan and Tomato wouldn't activate yet. Now the next step is resolving these flip effects, because you've already decided that the monsters are destroyed by battle. So the flip effects and the flip face-up effects now resolve. So cards like Gravekeeper's Guard, Fossil Dyna, and Snow Meteor now resolve. Okay? So they now resolve. And cards like Dolka can actually activate in the damage step because of the certain wording. Now Dolka says, when a monster effect activates, you use his effect. If the card said, you can do this, you can negate one monster's effect during the player's turn, you couldn't activate during the damage step because it's not stating that a condition needs to be met to activate it, it just says activate it. So because of that, a condition doesn't need to be met for it to activate, so it can't actually activate during the damage step because it doesn't alter attack. It doesn't directly alter attack. So that's one thing. That's why Dolka can negate during the damage step. That's why Legia can negate during the damage step. And at this point, when people are summoning Gores too, I forgot to mention this. When people are summoning Gores and Treg, you cannot bottomless because, again, it does not alter attack. You can, in fact, Solemn Warning because it can negate his effect. And you can play any counter trap during any part of the damage step. And you can't Solemn Judgment Gores or Treg because they have effects that activate, and Solemn Judgment doesn't negate monster effects. And these are not inherent summons. So, once again, resolving flip effects is what you do next. The next step, the monster that was destroyed by battle is actually now sent to the graveyard. So, this is where Dimensional Fissure and Macrocosmos would actually activate too. Cards like Mystic Tomato, Hydrogeddon, Shura the Blue Flame. Okay, because these effects need to be destroyed and sent to the graveyard for them to activate. Or just sent to the graveyard. So this is the end of the damage step. Things I didn't mention were cards like Guaiba, because Guaiba doesn't actually have to send the monster by battle. So Guaiba can actually activate during the same time where you activate Spirit Reaper and Treg, because it says when this card destroys a monster by battle. It doesn't have to send it to the graveyard. Same thing with Nova Master. I'll give you a ruling that happened to me when I was at a regional. I was playing Heroes against Heroes. The guy had a set Snowman Eater, and I had a face-up Nova Master. I attacked into Snowman Eater. And it was kind of bad, but anyways, I attacked into Snowman Eater, and he was trying to say that I don't get the draw. But I do get the draw because Snowman Eater... Nova Master's effect resolves before Snowman Eater's effect resolves. And I called a judge on that. I had to call a judge, and I was right on it, so I got to draw. So I was actually fine with it. I got my +1. So that's just another thing, like cards like that. So yeah, that's just the damage step in a nutshell. Comment, rate, subscribe, and peace out, YouTube.